Have you heard these phrases before? Don't play outside in the sun too long, you'll get dark. കട്ടൻകാപ്പി കൂടുതൽ കുടിക്കില്ല, കറുത്തു പോവും, which means if you drink too much black tea, you'll become dark and undesirable. I heard those lines before I even understood what undesirable meant. They were said casually, like weather updates, said with love apparently. But here's the truth, those sentences were not harmless. They were opening lines of hierarchy, one that tells you your worth, your beauty, your future depends on how close your skin is to lightness. And the hierarchy's name is colorism. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about colorism within the South Asian community. I grew up with Fair and Lovely in the bathroom cabinet. I saw it on TV. I saw ads of the Bollywood actresses I would look up to getting 4 shades lighter with applying this to their skin. Fair and Lovely was a skin whitening brand, and it was a skin whitening cream used in India. It was not hidden, it was not questioned, it was just there. It was a normal part of childhood. I remember using it as a child, very young, because everyone around me did. And I remember it burning, I remember it stinging, and I remember the way my skin felt raw afterwards. But I kept using it because the ads told me this was the path to beauty. Because the actresses, the Bollywood women who shaped the idea of femininity were promoting it. Women who were already light-skinned being shown that 4 shades lighter after using the cream would lead to you becoming more beautiful and more desirable. Those ads seeped into my subconscious. They taught me that beauty was a gradient and I was on the wrong end of it. And then the moment came that sealed it. When I was a child, a white kid at school scratched my face in, trying hard to get the brown off my skin, and my mum picked me up with scratch marks all over my face, trying to see if my skin color would come off like dirt. I remember the shock, the sting, the confusion, and I remember the message I absorbed. The darker you are, the more undesirable you would be. That's the moment that didn't create my insecurity, it confirmed it. Let me tell you something that no one in my family ever said out loud. When someone I knew got engaged, the first thing her mother-in-law said before congratulations was, "She's pretty, but she's a little dark, isn't she?" Nobody flinched, nobody defended her, it just floated in the air like a fact. That's colorism. It's not a slur, just quiet, everyday diminishing and dismissing. It's not considered a hate crime. Colorism is discrimination based on skin tone, usually within the same community, where lighter skin is praised and darker skin is questioned, corrected, and commented on. Across South Asia, in India, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, this isn't a preference, it's a system. And colorism also exists in the Afro-Caribbean society and community, but I will not comment on that within this video because that is not my lived experience. I will only say it from a South Asian woman's perspective of where it comes from. And some of it comes from and stems from colonialism. The British created a racial hierarchy with whiteness at the top. If a white person even comes to India today, they are considered as royalty, where people flock around them taking selfies and pictures with them because it is seen as the ideal beauty type and it's seen as royalty till this day. That message seeped into our families like smoke, but colorism existed even before colonialism. Upper caste groups historically worked indoors and they were considered as a royal lineage, whereas lower caste groups worked under the sun and outside. Skin tone became a visual shorthand for caste. Colonialism didn't invent colorism, it supercharged it. So, what is the caste and what does it mean to be born below? Imagine being born into a system that decides your entire life before you even take the first breath. Your job, your neighborhood, who you can marry, whether people can even touch you. That is caste. Traditionally, there are 4 varnas: Brahmins, Shastris, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And below all of them are called Dalits. They are also known as the untouchables, people assigned to do the work others refuse to do. They're not just they're not just poor and considered people from a lower socioeconomic status, but they were also considered impure. And that is not ancient history. It's still alive today, especially in rural parts of India. There is a Netflix documentary that I highly recommend you watch. It is called Daughters of Destiny, which follows Dalit girls at this school called Shanti Bhavan, a school built to break the cycle. Their parents were manual and daily laborers and domestic workers, and this documentary shows caste-based humiliation, children having to fight and work twice as hard for half the opportunity, and mothers grieving the limits placed on their daughters. This man called George from America had invested in creating the school where one child from the Dalit community, preferably a girl, would be educated from the age of 5, from school entry all the way up to college, and that one child would change the trajectory of their whole community. Dalits were considered impoverished, and they were not just in poverty, they were in targeted exclusion. So, how does caste and colorism work and collide together? Dalits are statistically more likely to have darker skin. Upper caste groups historically had more shade, more wealth, and more indoor work. So when an auntie says, don't marry someone too dark, she might not consciously be invoking caste, but caste is in the room. These systems were never separate, they were always intertwined. So the cream that has been in South Asian bathrooms for over 80 years, Fair and Lovely, rebranded as Glow and Lovely in 2020 after the BLM movement. But did they change the product or just the name? Launched in 1975, marketed explicitly as a skin lightening cream, the ads showed dark-skinned woman rejected, uses cream, skin lightens, and life improves. The message was that dark skin is a problem and Fair and Lovely is the solution. And its peak, it dominated the market. Mothers bought it for their daughters, grandmothers swore by it, but the rebrand is not the reckoning. You can change the packaging without changing the ideology. So we need to talk about something uncomfortable. South Asian communities don't just discriminate within their own skin tone hierarchy, there's also deep, pervasive anti-blackness. You'll hear families say, marry anyone, just not black. She's dark, but at least she's not that dark. Don't mix with them, it won't look right. This isn't cultural preference, this is racism. And it's rooted in the same obsession with proximity to whiteness, the same hierarchy that made Fair and Lovely a billion-dollar product. When we talk about colorism, we cannot ignore the way South Asian communities treat Black people, both within diaspora and globally. You cannot fight for your own liberation while upholding someone else's oppression. It is passive racism as well as explicit racism. Has anyone said something that hurt but you couldn't prove it? That's passive racism. From outside the community, your English is so good. You're pretty for an Indian girl. I don't even see you as a South Asian. Compliments with insults hidden inside. From within the community, you have such a nice personality. A pity about the skin, though. Don't get darker in the sun. She's smart, but who will marry her at that color? This is racism too. It just comes from people who think that they're helping. So, what can we do? First thing is to call it out gently. Notice your own bias and unconscious biases. Consume consciously. Support creators doing real work. There's one creator in particular called Deepika Mutiala who is winning in the beauty industry and the skin industry, and she's created a whole beauty brand and a beauty line based on South Asian skin tones. And she challenges anti-blackness. And we should do the same within our own community. Representation matters, but representation alone doesn't dismantle belief systems. I think about my friend who was getting married, the one whose skin was evaluated before her character. She's happy now. She is happily married now. She's loved, she's saved, and she feels safe. But she still carries those comments. They created wounds and scars inside her heart. They linger. They don't just go away. Undoing this is generational work. It's slow work, it's necessary work. And it starts with naming what we see, with refusing silence, with telling every dark-skinned South Asian child, you were not born below, you were not born lacking, you were born exactly as you should be. Beautiful inside and out, with that pearly dark skin, and it doesn't matter whether you are lighter skinned or darker skinned. There is beauty in both. So thank you for watching this episode about Skin Deep. And if it moved you, share it. If it challenged you, sit with it. This conversation doesn't end here. And if you want to know more about EDI and inclusion, whether it's in the South Asian community or within your organizations, workplaces, and universities, let me know and send me a message, and we shall be in touch to get a conversation going. Take care until next time. Bye.